Hello viewers, welcome to another edition of Behind the News coming from the stables of the Nation Online TV. I am Ayooluwa Ayobami and I am your host for today. This is Behind the News, where we analyze and dissect few of the stories from our national dailies. However, I won't be doing this alone, as I have with me my delectable, logical, well-oriented and analytical analyst. We're talking about no other person than distinguished Mr. Abimbola.
I hope you have an analytical analyst. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, viewers.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abimbola.
Good afternoon.
And happy new month. Happy new month. I think the last time we met on the show was last month.
That's right.
And all things are past the review. All things are new. This is Behind the News, and quickly let's get through to the business for the day. I'm going to run through the headlines in this national dailies. With me in the studio today, I have the Nation newspaper, I have Punch newspaper, I have Nigerian Tribune, I have This Day newspaper, and I also have Daily Trust newspaper with me in the studios. And I'm going to run through the headlines in these national dailies before we dive into the analysis. And I'm going to start with our very own, talking about the widest circulating newspaper, the Nation newspaper. And on the window page, it reads, Kanu admitted inciting public against police, says witness. Lagos APC targets consensus candidacy for council polls. National Assembly invitation done out of ignorance, says Benue House. UK hints of visa restrictions to Nigerians who overstay. And on the lead story it reads, more PDP bigwigs deserts opposition party for APC. NECA, man, Nigeria first policy good for economy. Cardinals enter conclave to elect 267th Pope. Gunmen kill 12 in Benue Plateau. Minister blames poor UTME results on CBT. And over to the Punch newspaper. Defections. Okowa denies 500 billion naira refund claims as Oborevori visits Tinubu. NAS ex-generals demand urgent military rearmament. Senate. Federal government kicks as Pat Utomi forms shadow government. And over to Nigerian Tribune. CSO seeks explanation on 6 billion naira police uniform contract, files FOI request. 2 million children malnourished in Nigeria, second highest worldwide, UNICEF. 10 years after, family others to celebrate on Nisijua Day. And the lead story we have, Senate proposes National Summit on Insecurity. Tinubu meets Oborevori, other APC governors amid defections, realignments. We will not honor ref's invitation, Benue Assembly. DSS removes Lanre Arogundade's name from its watch list. More CEOs worried about inflation, skills gap, PwC reports. 6 Delta PDP reps join APC. Nigeria's first policy, long-awaited relief to manufacturers, man. And over to This Day newspaper. NUPRC pledges support as ExxonMobil commits to $1.5 billion deepwater investment. Man, NECA, Ndume hail federal government's Nigeria first policy. With $75 budget benchmark, concerns mounts as oil price hovers around $60. Goldman surged Barclays Morgan Stanley / forecast. NLC predicts more hardship for Nigerians. And finally, to Daily Trust. Insecurity, Nigeria is bleeding, Akpabio. 1 million children at risk of malnutrition in Borno, Adamawa, Yobe. Uromi killings, 40 days after Families demand justice for slain hunters. And the late story they have. How import waivers are crippling local rice mills. 6 killed in fresh Plateau attack. Leadership tussle. 11 weeks after, Osun local government remain short. Benue lawmakers reject National Assembly summons, threatening legal actions. Kano government directs LGAs to release 670 million naira for Emir Sanusi's cars. And these are the headlines in the national dailies that I have with me in the studios this morning. And quickly, we are going to dive into analyzing a few of these headlines. And we are going to start with the Nigeria First policy that was recently approved by the FEC. And let me pick it from the Nation newspaper angle. I'm going to run through the lead before moving or passing the baton to Mr. Abimbola for the analysis. The Nation newspaper has it as NECA man, Nigeria First policy good for economy. The organized private sector OPS yesterday threw its weight behind the federal government's Nigeria First policy. It described the policy aimed at prioritizing domestic products in government procurement and contracts as a move capable of stimulating the domestic economy. Experts and other stakeholders also continue to commend the initiative by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, sustaining a train of popular positive review that has followed the policy since announcements on Monday. Okay, let me pick this paragraph also. The Federal Executive Council on Monday approved the Nigeria's first economic policy. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, explained that with the policy, Nigeria comes first in all procurement processes. No foreign goods or devices that are already being produced locally will be procured without a clear and justified reason. Mr. Abimbola, now it's as if Nigeria first before any foreign imports. Nigeria first before any foreign imports. Do you think this is a good move for Nigerians?
Obviously, it's a good move. Very good move. Very, very good move. Again, Philo reporting suggests that it's new. It's not new. There was a slogan that Barry used to say. What was the slogan again? Eat what to grow and grow what to eat. That was his slogan throughout the 8 years of Buhari. The president, when they launched this particular program, said something about we should manufacture what we use and use what we manufacture, or something like that. Both of them are talking the same thing. The only difference is that this one is far broader. Buhari was talking about basically from agriculture, eat what to grow and grow what to eat. But you see, such how do I put it now? Such cynic and clear slogans should not have been done away with the government because it helped to focus attention. Now, flip that's Nigeria First. Which the headline of is it Trust or the other one?
Okay.
That northern, is that Trust or Leadership?
Trust. Okay, this day.
No, not this day. Daily Trust. With the lead
Of
how import waivers.
Okay, how import waivers are crippling local rice.
No, those headline.
Okay.
You see, if you talk of Nigeria First, then look at this. This is a contradiction of it. Because if imported rice are stifling Nigerian news, that means you have a problem. Between policy and reality, there's a contradiction. Now, I'll tell you how this one came about. During the course of the inflationary trend that food was getting too expensive and all that, the government did a waiver that could interview import not rice, the husk.
Okay.
Which you come and process, and they give you a detailed way that people are going to benefit from it. That window is supposed to have lasted for 6 months. I don't know as of now if that window is still open. that's a big problem. And that cannot be Nigeria first. So all I'm saying is that more often the government, the withdraw that they lose sight of the ball. Like a new government comes, you want to condemn everything the old government is projecting the same as Superman and all that. They forget that it's a long, it's a, what they call it, it's a continuum.
Yeah.
Now, if this government has started and insisted and apt on this eat what to grow and grow what to eat, it doesn't have to say it in that same format. Is this same Nigerian concept of Nigeria first? If they had, insisted on that, harped on that over the thing, there will have been some sort of stability in the policy. People will know that this is a continuing, that in the agriculture we are continuing this big agricultural policy that you go back to the farm. In fairness to the government, they are doing their own bit because they are looking at the big mechanized farming. The president just went to, was it Kaduna or Niger that I went?
Last week.
Katsina, yes. When we are talking of big mechanization, and that's part of the plan. The idea is to import X number of tractors, for agri, so that they give those tractors out to people and they aid them to continue a vast part of. That's a very solid policy. But you need to put this thing in certain so that people can easily relate to them. So back to the Nigerian first, it's a very good policy, and I'm not surprised that the Nigerian manufacturers association of Nigeria, chambers of commerce and all that, they are all saying that look, it's a very good thing. If you are going to import anything at all, that thing should not have been made in Nigeria. That thing you cannot make in Nigeria. And if the government made that as a policy, because the government is the main consumer, is the main spender in the economy in terms of procurement and all that. If the federal government and all the state governments stick to that policy, there will be a sort of new life into manufacturing and other local operations, and Nigeria will be the better for it. So it's a very good one.
Mr. Abimbola, don't you think, or how do you think we need to go back? Because if let's flash back to during former President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure, when we had that eat what you grow and grow what you eat, that borders were being shut from importing certain agricultural produce. Don't you think, because as at the time, majority of Nigerians were complaining that this produce, more particularly the rice, was expensive, was more expensive, like the local rice. And then, don't you think that we would have that same issue now with this Nigerian?
I don't think so. Number one, the borders are not short. Don't get the contrast. Don't get the thing wrong. Land borders were short from importing rice. They should go through the custom. They just put a lot of tariff on it, so that reduces the importation. And a good policy too, because you needed to stop that avalanche for the local rice industries to grow. By the way, by the time they introduced that policy, the anchor borrowers program and all that, the number of local mills jumped from like 10 to like, I can't remember the number, 10 to something beyond, maybe 200 or whatever. I can't remember the statistics, which shows that the local economy was reacting favorably. You are creating jobs. You are making farmers to go the grow, what do they call the paddy. And when the paddy was ready, you went to process part of the result of the motorized mill in Lagos, which is the biggest in West Africa, if not the whole of Africa. So that was a solid policy. I felt that the Tinubu government had to do what they had to do, because people were saying that food was becoming very expensive. Don't forget, they came in to remove the subsidy, they floated the naira, so it was an inflationary subsidy. So to put some sort of balance, so they said, okay, we are going to open this one temporarily, But my fear is like Nigeria, anything temporary doesn't stay temporary. It stays permanent. So I wish the government is not succumbing to that. That's why I refer you to the headline. So if you are going to say Nigeria won, Nigeria #1, then you start with agriculture, which in any case can employ so many people. Then if you extend agriculture to processing, then you have the reindustrialization, you have factories coming back, processing some of this. What do I mean? You, apart from rice, you have the rice mill. If you have mango that is going, just falling and wasting, you can have processing for juice. So these are cottage industry which you can put in the villages and can employ people there. You don't have to go to the town. But it takes a lot of policy deliberateness and critical monitoring for you to do that. Of course, there is a factor of electricity. Yeah. As it is now, it will be very difficult. The level of electricity to do anything in industrialization will be very difficult. But they are working on power too. So the government is really trying on so many angles. But they need to put all these things together so that you put it in some basic structure. So if you want anything about agriculture, you go there. It's related to industry, it's related to services, infrastructure, power. That's what we need to do. But the Nigerian policy is a good one. It needs to stick with it, because if you keep on importing, you are selling out your own labor. You are contracting what you should are giving to your own people, farmers, other skills people. You are giving the job to people abroad. You are buying from them. The more you buy from them, the more you pay their workers, the more they dump, your economy will go. For instance, before the Buhari policy, Thailand was selling rice, was a dumping ground to Nigeria. But there was a time they had to, the embassy had to ask, are you people, are you fighting with us? They looked at their number, they saw that the rice import had really plummeted. And it's okay, it's a change policy. And so they should do that. I think this policy is nice. But what I'm saying is that you should look at every sector of the economy and implement this in there. Otherwise, it will be contradiction like I just showed you now.
Yes, like but then, how do you think, what measures do you think the government can put in place? Because we know ourselves as Nigerians, and I'm sorry to say, but then there are certain Nigerians that would want to take advantage of every situation. And then, what measures do you think the government can put in place that would enable this policy to go in line with what the government has in mind, that we won't have issue of maybe extortion or scarcity of these products?
Well, as society, like the president said, he granted an interview at the turn of the year or so, when some people were talking of price control. And he said, no, what we are going to do is flood the market to some of these things. That if there is enough, people are talking of extortion, there will be nobody to extort. Because if the volume is there, you want to sell. You don't want to sell, you take it back to your house and again think you won't make money. It's only when there is scarcity, that you can do that. So what I'm saying is that look at the supply side. Do policies that will push out supply across the board. It's not easy to say. It's not just slapping your fingers and saying what happened. No. But if you keep on doing it, that's the supply side. Then from the other side, people, no matter, there will always be criminals in the system. That's something you have to. It's just that don't let the criminals be more than 3% of the population. If you have that, maybe 1.5, 2.5. If they are not more than that, you can always take care of them. But when it gets to around 10% or 15%, you start having problems. I'll tell you, in China, when Nigeria cannot do that. When Mao Zedong was there, there was something they called the Cultural Revolution. That some people call the opposite people. Yeah. When they say yes, they want to say no. They don't have any facts. They just want to oppose another. So they call it Cultural Revolution. The state was just taking care of them. By the time Mao died, even then some of the young people are indicted for abusing that policy. Some of these guys have been, sorted out, so that you have, a sort of, at least a population that is very understanding. Nigeria cannot do that because it was a communist thing, and this is a democracy. But the government too can launch a sort of, a sort of avalanche of reorientation, backed with a strict enforcement of the law. You do reorientation, radio, television, social media, and all that, to persuade people to be good. But a person who is caught to be a criminal, make a public example of him. So if you combine the two, you probably get a population that would, at least be reasonable. What you find today, particularly in the notorious social media, the even very notorious Twitter, is people who are damaged, exceedingly damaged, irredeemably damaged, coming to pour the poison in their toxic mind on the thing. They don't say anything good anywhere. And even if you are there, okay, if they feel that their ideas are superior, they don't have any superior idea. You don't have to put everything down. So that's what, if you expose yourself to that, then you are just undermining yourself. I always tell my daughter, I say, look, this your so-called, you feel that when I put something on Twitter or X or Facebook, everybody will just follow. It just been plain stupid. That's why people saying that look at this question of alleged stolen funds, the net fund, which was a rumor, and it had been reborn. People still say that go and sack now when you go and sack vice chancellor. You see, when people base their decision on rumors, not facts, and that noise, you publish it, and it has displaced some other thing that could better the lives of people who are reading your paper. And that's a crisis, because people are so self-loathing that they believe the worst is the only thing that is possible. That can never improve the state of the country. If you have that mindset, how can you improve? So you need to dissipate that sort of, you need to remove, or to reduce that sort of tendency. So at least it will give you for positive or decent news that can, developmental thing that you can absorb and use it to improve your life. Not to be complaining all of the time. The other day, the Senator Kingibe Ireti said that the youth were always complaining, instead of them to do something about that, they were always condemning government. That's true. So people are saying that, it was a generation that took all the opportunities to that's not entirely true. But the fact that Nigerian youths or whoever guy who are pouring into the system need to do better. If you don't like what is happening, you need to suggest a better idea. You don't have a better idea, and you are condemning somebody. So a policy has been put in place after nights and nights of flogging your brain. And all you can come and say you just badmouth it, I don't have a superior thing. That's not a way to build the country.
Before I move away from that, I personally would say as regards the social media, and more particularly the X platform that I just mentioned, I just feel personally that it is most Nigerians, or some Nigerians, just take it as an avenue to vent their anger of whatever reasons best known to them. They just feel like, okay, whenever anything negative, that's where you see them, and I'll buy your idea. It's just the mindset. It's just what they have in mind, and that has actually done more harm than good, because it tends to promote false narratives over the true narrative. But then, hopefully, I believe that with proper orientation and reorientation, gradually Nigerians will begin to have a change.
Let me tell you something. That apart from those tormented minds on Twitter, there's another danger. These pseudo activists. I grew up. Look, there was a Dr. Taishu Lari. There was this mechanical engineering guy, Ayowami or something like that. Professor Awujobi. There was Olishoyinka. There's still Olishoyinka, and there was Gani Farome. These guys, We are the classical activists. You know, if they are going on a campaign, you know that that campaign, I won't say 100%, but at least 95% for the public good. So we trusted them. I see activists now who will come to cancel out your idea and impose theirs. Look at what's happening with this Natasha thing. You know, people just jump on the bandwagon, they don't have the facts and all that, and they keep on doubling down even when they find out that what they are backing is not true. I see these guys who have a lot of money, I don't know where they get their sponsorship from, you know, and they deliberately want to mislead and distract those in government who are trying to do their best for the country, and they're always misleading people. That's the danger. I'm not even bothered about all this tormented souls, because whatever you write on the social media is a window on your own upbringing. There's a a discourse, a trend, and all you can do is start abusing people, cursing them. That's so that number one, you have no home training. Number two, you have no brains to engage in logical and polite conversation. You know, because if you have the brain, you will have thought of a better fact. And if your logic, stronger logic, excuse me, if your logic is strong, is stronger, why do you have to resort to vulgar abuse? See, many of these ill-bred, lack of home training guy who went to virtual illiteracy, some of them cannot even spell whatever they are doing, and they will be cursing you. What for? If you have the brains to go into a discourse, use your brain instead of creeping with abuse, traducing and abusing people. So that is danger now. So everything, they seem to have gotten everything wrong, and that as a band to impose their own, I don't want to say their bad thinking, and they feel that is the fashion. That is danger now, and I think we should watch again. Particularly the youth, the very young people who are very impressionable. Because I used to feel that in those days, if I listen to radio, and I felt that you are now the doctor something from the University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, I had to get good people and say, yeah, these are special people I want to be. Because I saw the likes of Ayooluwa, I saw they had learning and character. The likes of Professor Olakunle is still there. And if you can still speak today, you know that this is the real deal, unadulterated, and the man is 190. And been very consistent. I wish you have people like that who are true to themselves and who really have the society. You can never agree with the government, but then they will tell you, and you could reason that, like they say, if you are raising them now, you will reason that this guy is a real deal. Or not got all this, all these charlatans who just make noise all over the place, and they are just catching clouds and convincing people.
In as much as, because from what you just said now, there's what we call constructive criticism and just making cloud chasing, yeah,
or making
cloud chasing. I would want to also think that I don't know, but the percentage of the younger people, because when you check, sometimes when you even check most of these remarks or comments, you'll be like, this must not or shouldn't have come from an adult. This would probably be a minor and some. But then I want to feel like a very, very young person should not, like, literally not have access to something like this. But then it is, however, should I say unfortunately now that almost everybody has access to.
The access is set to the point that it's a mutual destruction of mind. It's an issue. But I want to say that before the access, you need to build. As a parent, you need to instill some of these things in your children. Because even if you are well built, if you have normally the basic home training, then you went to school to gather some qualitative learning and all that. If you want to ferret, even when you have the access, you know that this is nonsense, this is crap, and this, a majority of these guys have neither home training. I've gone. If they have gone to school, the school has not passed through them. They are this let my people go empty barrel that make more sound guy. and because you are empty barrel, you want to shout. You feel that if you are shouting that you get it. People have quality, you don't have to shout. Your quality, your depth will command attention to you. And that is it. And that's why those names I mentioned, the icons. Like for instance, look at Dr. Filari. He was employed at the Molisi College there, I think between 1950, he left the place 1956 or so. See, 1952 and 1956. He was principal. He was clear to be a principal. But he didn't like how the thing was built up. I think in 1956 or so, he went to found the Mayflower School. He called it Mayflower School, not college. Mayflower School cuts across. There's a primary section, there's a secondary section. Because he was a revolutionary, he felt that the students should do whatever they want to use, they produce themselves. He was a revolutionary. And he started that experiment. That school is around, will be 70 next year. Now, that was a person who was convinced. He wanted something new. He wasn't satisfied with conventional order. I'm not saying that people should not be different. I'm not saying people should be conformist and all that. But if you are not going to be a conformist, if you are going to disagree, then push out your own quality, not the rubbish, not the insult, not the vulgar abuse in your mind that you are just saying, and you are just toxicating the passing thoughts into the whole place. And that's what you find in Twitter and X and Facebook. The other ones are picture, fine boy, fine girl, fine boy, empty vanity that they serve all over the place.
But let that even lead us to the issue of the UTME, or let me just jump results that was released recently. Okay, Nation has that Minister blames poor UTME result on the community. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunde, has linked the number of poor performances in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) to the federal government's intensified war against examination malpractice. What do you think personally that can or could be the major cause of the mass failure in the latest 2025 JAMB examination?
Well, there could be two things. The minister says that because examination cheating is being reduced to BRF anymore, you are getting the real situation. That could be one of it. And from a headline, the headlines seem to be negative the way we cast it today. But they actually should be positive, because they think if we really reduce the examination prices, you should not blame, you should praise it. They are saying that we blame. That's a choice of words. That's one leg. But the other leg is how exposed are the students to even this technology? It is computer-based tests. Computer CCTV. So for this generation, it's a generational thing. But I want to still feel that maybe there should be, maybe there is need for more in penetration of the technology. Obi made the point